Anyway, 90-mile-an-hour winds came through. The door of the yurt blew in. We had to tether the whole thing to the tractor and pull it all back, and it was so stressful. And I don't know why we didn't learn then, because we then put a bell tent, because we thought, I was unsure of how I'd cope with 3 structures. So we thought, let's try with a bell tent. It's only £700. It's not like a big investment. So we put a bell tent up. We put it up in the beautiful Easter weekend. It was glorious weather. And then the following week, we had another massive storm. And then the pole just pierced straight to the top of the bell tent. The whole thing came down. We were supposed to have guests in there. It was so stressful. And so I was like, right, I am going to find the most wind resistant structure I can possibly find. And after doing a lot of research, it turned out that domes are the best thing, because...
What is going on, everybody? It's your boy j.esperance back with another episode of Keep It Tiny. Today I have a very special episode for you guys. It's a long form discussion with Vicki. Vicki runs one of the most successful glamp sites in the United Kingdoms. That's Tractors and Cream. Now, Tractors and Cream has been featured on BBC programs. They've won awards. They have a successful YouTube channel, and they've been in operation for multiple years. We talk about things such as why you may not want to build a yurt and go towards a different type of structure, how marketing to families could be your competitive advantage, how much all in it costed her to set up her glamp site, as well as creative ways for you to make more money off of your land other than just renting out beds. This episode is a little bit longer than usual, but I really wanted to get this content out to you guys as fast as possible as we're entering busy season, and I want to make sure that you guys are learning as much as you can for your glamp sites. That being said, if you can't stomach an entire 40 some odd minute conversation, feel free to just pause it, get back to it later on. But this is stuff that you don't want to miss out on, as we're really chatting with someone who's extremely successful in this space, and I want to make sure that you guys get this info.
So, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. So, can you tell me where your glamping site is, Tractors and Cream, where it is, and kind of how it came together?
So we are on the Somerset Levels in the UK. So it's really flat around where we are. And we, my husband and I moved here from sort of South London. We had a 2-bedroom tiny flat with no garden. And house prices in Somerset are a lot cheaper than London, obviously. So we couldn't believe that we could get a place that had 7.5 acres. So we had the house, we had the field, and then we were like, okay, what are we going to do? Should we try and make a business out of it? So I was full-time dance teaching in Surrey, and then we ended up moving here, and I just couldn't get the dance teaching work that I thought I would be able to get. So we thought, well, we met in a hotel, we know hospitality, so why not start a glamping site? And we didn't really know much about glamping. We'd never been glamping, we weren't even campers. So we sort of found a yurt, and we're like, oh, this is quite cool. Let's have a look at this. So we went and stayed in a yurt to do a bit of a recce. Yeah. And we had the most awful time. So I was really heavily pregnant. The toilet was so far away, up a hill. It was pouring with rain. The yurt was really gapey, so it allowed loads of air underneath the kind of crown cover. So it was really blustery inside. And so we then knew that we needed to have a toilet right next door. It was a really good opportunity for us to see what we needed to do to make it how we wanted it to make it.
Awesome. So that didn't stop you or deter you from building and doing your thing? You stayed at one to do some research and you realized it was terrible, but you were still like, we can make it better.
That's exactly what it was. We were like, well, when we do it, we're going to do it 100 times better, and it's going to be the sort of experience we would want. Mm-hmm. So I think it helped, really. If we had stayed somewhere amazing, we would have been a bit complacent maybe and be like, oh, this is easy, we can just do whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think that worked really well for us.
Cool. And then so you guys have 7.5 acres of land. After you built what was the first thing that you built there, and kind of how did it go after you built it and you put it on the market? Did things go crazy or how was it when you first started off?
So we applied for planning permission, and we originally were going to go through an agent. They quoted us £3,000 to do all the work for us. And I was like, you know, we're not really fussed whether this goes which way it goes, so let's just apply for it ourselves. So it only cost us £400, and the agent was only going to apply for 1 year and see how it went, but we just put in an application for a change of use to a fixed tent campsite, and they ended up giving us up to 10, so we could have like, for a fraction of the cost, we then could have 10 structures, like, but only canvas, so we can't have any caravans, anything wooden, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So we then went down the yurt route, and we bought 2 yurts. And the first year, so we built the bases, we put them up, we really struggled building them ourselves because it was the unknown, and it was, you know, it's like putting up a tent with your partner on steroids. Like, we argued over it. It was so stressful. But we got these 2 yurts up. So the first year I was really nervous. My little boy was 2, my little girl was 4. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. So we just did one at a time. So I would rent the one out, then the next set of guests I'd put in the other yurt while they cleaned the first one. And so there was only ever one family on the site at a time, and it was quite chilled out. And I was surprised with how many bookings we got. I couldn't believe it, given that nobody knew about us. So yeah, it went really well.
That's what I've seen a lot of people say, where like, as I'm chatting with people, they're very surprised with how successful in terms of like bookings. You know, maybe it might not already be a runaway financial success. They've always been surprised with the amount of people that are like willing to give them a shot and like willing to do something new. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that a lot of people are looking to like do different types of experiences?
I think, you know, everybody can go and stay in a hotel, and sometimes that is convenient, but actually, especially because we market to families, what they want is to give their children memories and experiences that maybe they didn't have, or maybe they remember camping as a kid, and going on long camping holidays, but they're a bit worried about doing it with their children because it's stressful. So I think that's why the glamping industry has made that so easy, because you've got proper beds, you've got toilets, you've got showers, and it's still getting that outdoors experience that the kids want, but it's so much easier.
And how large is what you guys have today? Like, I've followed your YouTube channel. I haven't kept count, but it seems like you guys have like multiple domes, multiple yurts. Or can you tell me of like, what's the glamp site set up today?
So we've got 2 yurts, 2 domes, and then a holiday cottage. So we also built an A-frame cabin, but we just built that for my husband's home office. So because that's not part of the glamping site, we then could do it as part of our permitted development. We could build a wooden structure, and we just want to do that just for fun. So we can't rent it out, but it's there for when we finish it, for my husband's home office. So then next year we're looking into putting a 3rd dome in, which will be similar to our new dome this year, which has got an ensuite, and an outdoor bath and a kitchen, everything up there. So we are hoping, that will all work out for next year. But, you know, we're going to start a bit earlier because it was so much pressure with the lockdowns and everything to try and get it all ready for April opening this year. So I think I'm going to kind of start the ball rolling now, because you've got to get in the sewage lines and the water pipes in, and all that's got to be done so that the grass can grow back, so it doesn't look awful when people actually finally do come and stay. So all the infrastructure stuff is hard work.
And can you walk me through a bit of that, like why you guys are, it seems like you guys are doubling down on domes. Again, I've watched all your dome content, and your domes look so beautiful, especially the newest one that you built with that ensuite. Like, the tour of that video was awesome. The video was that tour. So can you let me know? It seems like domes are really working out for you guys, because you could have built more yurts, you could build like teepee tents, other things like that, but it seems like domes are really working out for you guys. Can you chat with me about that?
So we're at a really exposed site, so because everything's level, the wind comes through, and we always take the yurts down during the winter because of that. But one year we thought, let's just try and see what it's like if we left the yurts up. anyway, 90-mile-an-hour winds came through. The door of the yurt blew in. We had to tether the whole thing to the tractor and pull it all back, and it was so stressful. And I don't know why we didn't learn then, because we then put a bell tent, because we thought, I was unsure of how I would cope with 3 structures. So we thought, let's try with a bell tent. It's only £700. It's not like a big investment. So we put a bell tent up. We put it up in the beautiful Easter weekend. It was glorious weather. And then the following week we had another massive storm. And then the pole just pierced straight to the top of the bell tent. The whole thing came down. We were supposed to have guests in there. It was so stressful. And so I was like, right, I am going to find the most wind resistant structure I can possibly find. And after doing a lot of research, it turned out that domes are the best thing, because there's nothing to catch the wind. That there's no, those yurts have got this crown cover where the wind can get underneath, and the domes are just so well sealed, and they've got that triangular structure which is so strong that and I spoke to loads of different manufacturers, and they've said they've had 3 domes that were on the cliff edge, and they had a hurricane come through and nothing moved. So I was like, yeah, that's for us.
Yeah. So it seems like it was a bit out of necessity, just because that's what you had to do. And
yeah, definitely.
For me personally, as I'm going through my build, I've had similar things where my land is extremely flat. And the winds just rip through because there's no trees to catch it or anything. So I spent a couple hundred US on some bathroom tent structure things, and that were immediately just ripped apart, just immediately gone. But so you guys choosing dome seems like it came out of necessity.
Yeah, definitely.
But also domes, there's something special about them where they're a different type of structure. They're appealing quickly to the eye, but also there's a lot of space in a dome, and it's strong. And like you said, it can sleep a lot. So do you think it makes financial sense as well going with the domes?
Yeah, they are more of an investment. So the yurts, we paid £4,000 per yurt. And the smaller dome was £8,000, the large dome was £10,000. But because you've got that panoramic window, which everybody loves, they can sit in the dome with their glass of wine and their food, and then they can watch the kids play outside, and that is a massive selling point. There's also a full-size door, so whereas the yurts you have to duck, people conk their head on the way out. Whereas the domes, you can just walk in and not worry about your head. You've got all that head height that just makes it feel so much more spacious and light, and yeah, they're worth the investment, I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like to ask those questions just to give people ideas on what they should build, and going with the domes and how many people they sleep. Can you talk to me about just the family aspect? I see that a lot on your YouTube channel. And a lot on kind of with what you're building. I see that you guys really take into account knowing that your structures are going to be sleeping more people. And it's larger families, and there's play areas. Can you talk to me of why did you guys immediately know that you wanted to go in that direction, or did you guys fall into that, or kind of why are you guys focused on that?
I think because if we'd have started this glamping site before we had children, I reckon we would have gone down the couples only route. It is easier. You only have to do double beds. I've got 3 sets of bunk beds I have to do, and they're an absolute pain in the bum. So it's not the easy option. But because we already had children and we needed to build the business around them, so we first put a play area in, because I thought, well, if the kids can be playing outside, I can be changing beds and they're entertained. So the play area wasn't even we weren't worried about it for guests, we were worried about it for ourselves, to make our lives easier. And then actually it was so lovely having the play area right there, and then we've just kind of built on that and built an outdoor games area, and just tried to make it feel really safe. The site itself is really safe because it's got hedges all the way around, and there's nowhere for the kids to escape. So I think it just came out of the fact that we had the children already, and to just do families only, I'd then be worried that, what if our kids are making a noise and disturbing them? So, and that's what people love. We barely get any couples at all. We've probably, in the last 5 years, I think I can count on one hand how many couples we've had. Apart from right now, we've got 2 sets of couples in, which is unheard of. But I think that's just the kind of pandemic market, isn't it? It's just everyone's just trying to get away, and we've had so many more midweeks than we would normally have. So I would say, if you're thinking about what market you're going to, just decide, are you going couples, are you going families? It's really difficult to mix the two, because couples don't want to be hanging out with other people's kids, and so you want to go down one or the other, really, I think. And then you can build your structures accordingly. So we knew we needed the space to have either bunk beds or sleeping up to 5, because, you know, lots of people have 2 adults and 3 children, and loads of sites don't cater for 3 children. They might add 1 if you're lucky. So it's definitely helped us, because people really appreciate the fact that we don't charge any extra for children. We don't charge any extra for travel cots or high chairs or that sort of thing. We've always got stuff that you might need if you've got kids and you've forgotten. So I think that's all really appreciated by people.
Cool. And do you think that you guys also stand out because of that? Just because a lot of the people that I've spoke with, they're the exact opposite, where, you know, it's focused on, you know, just couples. That it's a little bit easier to get into. And, you know, there's some people also think it's, you know, less liability, just because, you know, kids could be making a mess or kicking walls, or I don't know. You know, I have a couple nephews and 1 niece, so I know kids can be a bit rambunctious, but they're not going to break a dome, but that's neither here nor there. So do you think that it makes you guys stand out a bit, and helps you when it comes to marketing and putting yourselves out there?
Yeah, I think so. And because we've been so direct with our marketing, and I think it's so important to know your target customer, and I've designed my ideal family in my head, and I know exactly who I'm marketing to, which is why it speaks to those families. And I think that's why we then get full really easily, because I know you know who you're marketing it to. And it's quite rare having somewhere that is so family friendly and safe for kids.
Absolutely. And then also, it seems like with your entire branding, and again, you were joking around that you're like, oh, you know, I'm not too business savvy, but it seems exactly like you know exactly who you're talking to. You know that consumer, you know that person, and you built a great product around them, because you were even talking about high chairs and things of that nature. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have any children. I have some nephews and nieces, so I'm like, oh yeah, they would need high chairs. So it seems like you really thought about everything that they would need, and you know, you got what they need for them and catered to them.
Yeah, I feel like that. I think we're just like too nice. Like, we'll go above and beyond and put ourselves out for other people, but that's what makes us special, I guess. And you know what, I don't care if we make a bit less money and everyone's really happy. That's far more important to me than having tons and tons of cash in the bank.
For sure. And that again leads to it leads me to ask, you know, what's your goals with your glamping site? Again, it seems like, you know, you're really not trying to make as much money as possible, no matter how you can do so. So, you know, like, what kind of guides you guys, and what's your kind of overarching business philosophy when it comes to your business?
So Brian's in sort of data analysis, so he's got the spreadsheet going on. He's got our 5-year plan of what structure he wants to add next year, and then 2023 and all that sort of stuff. So we'd like to get up to 6, I think, and then I think we would then be making a decent income. And our ultimate goal was for him to be able to give up work. So he's got a full-time job, and so for us to be doing this together, we've got more time with the kids, we've got more time together. That's when money does come into it, because you need to be trying to make that money to allow for that lifestyle. So whether or not we'd ever be able to give up a salary or not, I don't know, but that is the ultimate goal.
Awesome. And then is glamping the only thing that you guys, in terms of the Tractors and Cream brand? You know, I know that you guys are on YouTube as well. You know, do you see any other ways for you guys to kind of monetize the brand and maybe sell different things? I know you have an honesty shop, but is there other things that you guys are doing? If you could tell, I've done my research.
You have very good. So we do afternoon teas, and very nice British thing there. So we built our octagonal like roundhouse, and we do bespoke afternoon teas. So I'll cater for like between 6 and say 20 people who come for baby showers, and because we've got baby showers now in the UK, like that was never a thing. That was a really American thing. We've got baby showers now and hen parties, and what do you call them, bachelorette party.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do that, and then obviously we've got the YouTube channel, which again, we just started for fun and just kind of vlog about what we do. And then we built this A-frame cabin, and then loads of people in America watched, and I couldn't believe it. So that's kind of helped us monetize the channel.
Nice.
And then you kind of feel a bit of pressure to like make sure you make videos every week, but again, it's a work-life balance, isn't it? If we don't have anything exciting happen, we won't make a video, and it's not a big deal. But we're always trying to think of ways to help people, to give advice to people. It also started because we wanted to go around and visit local like different places to visit, and then put a vlog about them on the website so people knew where they could go and stay, basically. But it's actually been so much more than that. It's just been so much fun. It's so much fun looking back on everything we've done, and then connecting with people like you're sat there in America.
Yeah.
And I'm sat here in Somerset, and it's just the most incredible thing. We get messages from people all over the world. I'm having to translate stuff on Google Translate from Russia and Spain and like stuff like that. So asking mainly about domes. So yeah, it's hilarious.
yeah, it's really cool how it brings everything together. I've never been on that side of the pond. One of my best friends, Franny, has he was living out in London for some time, and we always joke around about the differences. Like, I'm okay with tea. I love me some green tea, but putting milk in tea is something that I just can't wrap my head around.
Really?
I can't wrap my as a New Yorker. I can't wrap my head around it. I don't understand it. Maybe some lemons, but I don't understand milk and tea. But
oh, well, there you go.
But you said something very, very big there that I wanted to touch back on, and could you give some advice to others about? It sounds like you're having a lot of events on your Glamp site. Again, it also ties into the fact that you guys are so family friendly, that you're having, these family oriented events, but even just having your Glamp site open to events, or these 1-day outings that you'll open up the site for. Could you tell us a little bit about that and the business side of that? And is it lucrative? Does it make sense? Is it worth your time and energy? Could you just expand on that?
Yeah. So I know a lot of glamping sites hire the whole site out for weddings and things like that, and it's something that I don't think we will ever do because of noise, because we're in the edge of a village. It's quite a quiet village. They would get a bit grumpy if we started having massive parties every weekend. But with this little hut we built, we can have like bespoke afternoon teas or kids parties, but they don't affect the glamping. So I can have a full site in, but because they're tucked away in this little hut, they could just have the full use of the hut, and they can have their afternoon tea, and it doesn't affect any of the glamping. However, we are looking into buying a 10-meter event dome, and hoping to do that for next year to give us a bit more flexibility, because the hut's quite small. It's only like 5 meter round. So I think if we had somewhere that was sort of 10 meters, what's that it's about 30 foot, I suppose, so that we can then do slightly bigger events. But if we did use that for events, then we'd hire out the whole site. So then you are getting a bit more lucrative, because you can charge what you're charging for the stay, but then you can also add on a basically exclusive hire fee, so that you have the use of this event dome. You can do your DIY party, or we can cater or whatever for you. And then you're making more money. Like if you start doing weddings and you're saying like exclusive hire is £5,000 or something like that, then that's really where the money is at. But I'd never mix the two. I'd never have people using the event dome with family glamping, because it just wouldn't work. So yeah, it's something that we're working on, but it's whether we're brave enough. And also it's just really me at the moment, that's the thing. So because of Brian still working full time, and when I'm trying to like deal with our kids and then cater for events and turn around a glamping site, it gets tricky.
Yeah. By the way, absolutely love what you got. Like, again, I'm not a parent, so me saying good job or kudos or props doesn't mean as much. But I love the fact that you guys have the kids out there assisting with everything that you guys are doing with the builds. They're going to grow up and already have the mindset, already have
Yeah.
certain skills. They're going to probably be very handy, business savvy. I just love it. I was kind of raised similar, just around
Okay.
my father's businesses. So, it really helped me out a lot in life. So I just love what you guys have going on there.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping, that we're basically giving the best possible childhood for our kids. And then, if they can't get a job when they're older, if they can't find somewhere to live, we've got places for them, and we've got the opportunity to employ them if we need to, if they want to be employed. I mean, Annabelle's pretty much saying that she's going to work for me when she's older, and she's going to take over the afternoon teas, and she wants to do art workshops and stuff. So they've got all that opportunity, which is so amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And again, going back to the family aspect of this, can you talk to me what it's like running a business with your husband, like with your significant other? Like, how do you guys map out who does what? Who focuses on which business aspects? It seems like you do more of operations and day to day. And can you talk about also, just the small things? We all are human. Just being married is difficult, but then, adding a business aspect on top of that, how do you guys work through all of this?
So we're really different. I am outgoing. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. Brian is a bit more of a introvert. He likes being behind the scenes more, basically. So I'll do every show around, every meet and greet. I will always take people up and show them around and check them in, basically. Whereas Brian would never do that. The thought of that makes him feel a bit sick inside. So I'll do all of that. He loves the behind the scenes, so he'll do all the mowing and like all the kind of helping me out with maintenance stuff and helping me out with building projects and that sort of thing. But like on our A-frame video, we have been told that so somebody commented and said, why do I have more testosterone than my husband? because I love a DIY project, and DIY was never really his thing, but he's just kind of been thrown into it. So yeah, we work really well as a team because we're actually so different, and so we both bring completely different things. He's more like business head on. He's more like keep focused on what you need to do. I'm more of a it'll all be all right, and he's like, no, it won't be all right, we need to get this done now. So that's why we work well. I think if we were both the same, then half the business would fail. Do you know what I mean? Like, because we need to be different to bring the different things.
Opposite sides of the brain, doing different things.
Cool. And then when but there is always arguments, like when we put Yurts up, he's like, why don't you ever listen to what I'm saying? Like it's just how it is when you're trying to. It's mainly yurt building. That's why we were thinking about getting rid of one of the yurts and replacing it with a dome, because then the dome's up, we don't have to take it down again. So we're umming and ahhing, but that does not make business sense. We've already owned the yurt, whereas we would then have to spend another 10 grand getting a dome in there. So it just makes sense to just suck it up for 2 days when we have to build it and not spend the extra money. So that's when you
do you both handle building it, and then also with the domes, who gets the final say so on the color of the accent wall? And
me definitely. So he I don't know if you've seen the video where like he interior designed the green yurt and I did the blue yurt, and he bought everything brand new, spent £1,000 more than I did kitting out his yurt, because I don't mind a bit of shabby chic and like painting up upcycled furniture, whereas he's like, he loves like big chunky wooden furniture. So I've more taken the reins on that interior designing type part of it because he would just spend far too much money. But we've been lucky actually, because the smaller dome, we were on the TV, so we were on a BBC program where they made over our dome for us. So we had an interior designer that they then did it all for us. And then through that program I met another interior designer who then designed the new dome for us.
Awesome.
So that was quite useful, really. I didn't have to think about those.
Yeah, cool. So it seems like you guys, as a couple, if the business works pretty easily for you guys to work together.
Yeah.
Awesome.
When we're not very argumentative either, so we don't tend to argue, which definitely helps.
Yeah. From the videos, I've definitely picked up a very chill vibe from you both. I feel like you both would just be like, okay, you win, whatever. Let's just keep things moving forward. That's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And never let the sun go down an argument. Basically, we always sort it out straight away if there's anything we disagree with.
Could you let me know kind of like, what do you think the all-in cost was on everything that you guys have going on? And then also, if you were to do things over again, what would you change?
So we actually just made a video about how much the whole thing cost us. So I'm quite happy to talk prices and money because it's a massive part of it. You need to know what you're in for, don't you?
Yep.
So when I worked it all out, and this is including us converting a garage into a holiday cottage and things like that, we were just under £100,000 to do the whole site. So yeah, but we've reinvested. So we also had some help from my mum. So she started off with a yurt, and then what money we made from that, we could pay for another one. And then what money we made from that, we could then eventually get to the dome. And so we've just basically not paid ourselves anything for like 5 years, worked for free, but just kept reinvesting essentially. So yeah. And also Brian's job is propping it up quite a bit. So we would be much better off, I think, if we hadn't have had a glamping site.
Yeah.
But then now we should start to see a profit. So we made like a loss. Then we made a break even, and then we've made a little profit. And hopefully this tax year we should have made an actual proper profit.
Yeah. Nice.
Takes a while though.
Yeah, thanks for being, so forthcoming with the info there. And with the 100 pounds that you've spent all in, and also what's crazy is I thought it would probably be more, like seeing how expansive and wide your land is, how beautiful it is, the domes, and how many different things you have on your land. So I definitely think you guys have been wise with your money. But could you tell me, what you would do differently if you would do anything differently to maybe save some more money, or mistakes that you made and you realize like, oh, we wasted that, or those types of things?
Yeah, I think we wouldn't have got yurts in the first place. I think we would have just gone straight in with domes, because they just waste so much time with the taking up and putting down, and they have made us very stressed. So I think it's just about research of picking your structure. And like, I didn't even think about looking at 5 years ago, looking at YouTube, and I don't even know whether glamping was such a big thing even 5 years ago. Information wasn't so readily available. So yeah, I think we would definitely have started with domes. And in fact, we might have even thought about our planning permission, in that because we were restricted just to canvas, we might have put in for, say, wooden cabins all over. And then once they're built, and then you don't have to replace stuff, do you?
Yeah.
So but I think we would have struggled to get planning put for proper wooden, what is seen to be permanent structures, because all these domes, yurts, bell tents, all of those things are seen as temporary structures. And so you're much more likely to get planning, which is why a dome is such a brilliant happy medium, because it feels solid, yet it's still classed as a temporary structure. So yeah, I think that's mainly what I would have done differently. I don't know, obviously the 100,000 doesn't take into account how much we spent for the house, but we were lucky that we basically bought the house, it included the land. And so yeah, but that's what a lot of people do, is find their house and the land with it. And I think living on site is a massive bonus. I can't imagine running a glamping site remotely, probably just because I've never done it, but I know a lot of people do. They rent land and then they just go back and forth, depending on, live about 20 minutes away. Do you live near where your glamping site would be?
No. So I spend my day-to-day in New York City, and my land is about actually 2 hours away.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So how would you manage like people checking in and that sort of thing?
Well, I'm very big on trying to get things in a way where they somewhat run themselves. I think it
Yeah.
again goes from my like working in tech. So like trying to
Okay.
find efficiencies.
Yeah.
So I actually, even though I live in New York, I actually have some Airbnb rentals in Atlanta, Georgia, which is like a
Oh, wow.
15-hour
Okay.
drive away from New York.
Oh my goodness.
So, I just have a lot of systems and processes where, my cleaners come in, they take photos for me, let me know what's going on. I handle everything I can handle from a computer where I'm at. I try
Wow.
to see them once a month, just to keep my hands on, my finger on the pulse of what's going on. But
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, it's much more difficult.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the easiest way to go about it.
But you're obviously not as much of a control freak as I am, because I like to like go like I like to do it myself.
Yeah,
And then if somebody else was to do it, I'd like to go and check everything to make sure it was like 100%.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I can see. I mean, amazing that you've basically then got a passive income, haven't you? Really, because you don't really have to do so much.
Yeah, it's a little bit more hands off. With my glamp site, with my A-frame glamp site, I am going to be much more hands on there, just
Mm,
because it's like my crown jewel. Like I love that land, and it's been something I've wanted to do since I was in college. Um,
yeah.
so I'm going to be much more hands on and probably spend more of my time up there. I
Mm,
kind of see myself more as a nomad right now, where like I would go wherever I need to go.
yeah.
So I do want to be more hands-on with what's going on up there.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm super proud about that. But I also think, I wasted a ton of money learning. As
mm.
you said, information isn't readily available. So, just buying things and realizing that they didn't make the most sense. Just a lot of that, as I've been building out my site. And that's kind of what led me to start this YouTube channel, which is like, I don't want people to have to make the mistakes I've made and other
No,
information.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
With
really
that,
good.
with that in mind, could you tell me, like what advice would you give to people starting off a glamp site? It doesn't have to just be one thing, just, what are you thinking about if someone was chatting with you and they were thinking about getting into this? What would be some of the first things that you would talk to them about?
I'd basically say make sure you know that it's a lifestyle choice, and that I mean, you can do it remotely, but in immersing yourself in it like we have,
Mm-hmm.
it's a complete change of lifestyle. Like, I was a dance teacher, and now all of a sudden I'm running a glamping site, and I'm doing a lot of cleaning. Like, it's a lot of hard graft. So yeah, think about, are you going to be happy having all sorts of different people on your land, possibly breaking stuff, possibly messing stuff up that you've worked really hard on? And are you going to be comfortable with that? That's the first thing. Are you a people person? Do you like talking to people? Do you make friends easily? That kind of whole personable people side of it is so important. So that would be my first thing, is make sure it's what you really want to do first. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you're like, yes, that is 100% for me, I absolutely love this idea, then go really researching what structures you're going to have. There's loads of different ways of going into it. Like, there's different we in the UK have loads of different kind of camping clubs and things like that you can join, who help you, or like there's franchises like Wigwam Holidays we've got, which would help you set up the whole site. So think about whether you want to do it independently or whether you want help with it. And then, yeah, once you've kind of picked your structures that you're going with, think about your target market, like we talked about before, like whether you're going couples or families, whether you want dogs even, like that's a major thing. We don't have dogs. And
Yeah.
loads of people say to us, oh, why don't you have dogs? We really want to bring our dog. And like, there's lots of reasons,
Yeah.
mainly because we're so family friendly. I'd be terrified if there was a dog there that
Mm-hmm.
some kid didn't like and it ruined their holiday.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to have to be going and picking up dog poo, because you're gonna, like in a massive field, you're gonna miss some dog poo.
Yeah.
So we get criticized for not having dogs, but it's just, I just can't cope with it.
Yeah.
But if you want to go down the dog friendly route, then that's a whole market right there.
Mm-hmm.
So but that also doesn't necessarily work with kids. So pick your market. So
Mm-hmm.
you've got your structures, you love glamping, you love people, you have decided on your target market, and then work out how you're going to get your customers in. basically. So we started off on Airbnb and booking.com, and that was brilliant because you just got automatic people finding you. And then what we started off doing was giving, I mean, this is part of the not having the business head on, we started giving a 15% discount to everybody who came the first year. If you come back next year, you get 15% off. And then, but then we kept doing that, and we kept doing that, and we're still doing that. So that's something you don't need to do, but you can offer incentives so that you then, they don't book through the agent, they book direct through you, and then that saves you some money. And then for us, they're a known quantity. We've met them before, you know, they're really nice. They then tell all their friends. So we now don't use third-party booking agents at all. It all comes direct through our website.
It's amazing.
So that saves us a lot of money. And so that's basically what I would suggest is get them in through the agency and then keep them.
Okay. And what would be the biggest thing you would tell them, like, don't do that? Like, I've thought about it. This is, you know, my personal opinion, but don't do X, Y, or Z at your Glamp site.
What's a don't do? I don't know. Don't be rude to people. I think it's all about, like, this is why I deal with all the people and the messages and all that sort of stuff, because somebody would message me something really abrupt, like, can I stay on the 4th of August for one night on a Saturday night? And Brian would probably message back going, no, don't be so silly, of course you can't. Whereas I go back saying, hi, thank you so much for your inquiry. Unfortunately, we don't do one night bookings because of XYZ. And yes, actually, that would be my tip. Don't do one night bookings. Total nightmare, because you've got all that bedding, all that cleaning for one night. I never understood it before we started a glamping site. I was like, oh, I just want to stay for one night. Like you do in a hotel. Don't do it, because it is so much work. So we do a 2-night minimum, but I know loads of places that will do Friday to Monday, Monday to Friday, so either 3 or 4 nights. And I totally get why, but we do it because I know that when we go away, we'd like to just do Friday to Sunday. We just want to do a weekend. And when I have to book somewhere that's Friday to Monday and then I can't stay that extra night, it annoys me. So but that's just us. If you think for your business model you need a 3-night minimum, do a 3-night minimum. People will still understand.
Okay, so that would be your biggest probably don't do, is like that one night, because again, there's a lot of turnover, and that's where the hard part is. Like, having people spending their night or taking over the land, to me is like, I'm okay with that. It's whenever one person leaves and another person, like that in between time, is where it gets really stressful very fast.
It does.
Okay, cool. And then have you ever had any like horror stories of people being on the land and maybe not respecting it as much, and kind of how did you go about fixing those, or has things ever broken? You guys seem very handy. Can you talk to me about that? Because I think that a lot of people are worried about worst case scenarios. And normally those things, what they cook up in their brains, never really happens.
No.
Tell me what, some of those have been for you guys.
So, I see a lot of stories on the glamping site owners group on Facebook where they're like, oh, somebody ripped my tent, or that would be my worst nightmare if somebody ripped like a part of a tent that would cost a lot of money. But because the yurts, and I can't, well, that would be a disaster if somebody like slashed the side of a dome, but that's highly unlikely. And the worst case, you'd have to replace that part of the cover, or you can get patch kits and that sort of thing. So we haven't, touch wood, had anything like that. We had one horrible family. I don't know what it was. I felt really uncomfortable. I think the guy was taking drugs, possibly. He was sat in his car, blacked out windows, playing really like oof, doof, doof, doof music. And I had to go and say, look, I'm really sorry. This is a quiet site. Please, can you not do that? And so that was really awkward. And I got myself really stressed about it. But the beauty is, people are never here for very long. So if you have the most horrible guests, they're going to be gone in a couple of days, normally 2 or 3 days. So if you feel really uncomfortable, that it's not going to last. They'll move on. Somebody else will come in who will be much nicer. So I try not to let myself get stressed about who's here and what they're like. But I think, again, because we've targeted this specific type of person in our marketing, every single family apart from that one in 5 years has been absolutely lovely, perfectly normal, wonderful families. And I can only put that down to the marketing, I guess. I'm not sure, but they're all the type of people that we want here, and that respect what we're doing, and that respect our stuff. And we do take a breakage deposit, so we take £50, which we refund at the end of their stay. But I've never once charged anybody. And stuff gets broken, like parasols over the picnic benches, they get broken quite a lot. We had a broken barbecue yesterday that the wheel had come off, so I'm going to have to replace the barbecue. But stuff happens, and I'm not going to charge the guest for that. It was accidental. It's just kind of, sometimes you'd have to swallow costs like that. But on the whole, I've never really had any disastrous horror stories, which I'm pleased about.
Yeah, no, and in all my years of running short-term rentals, I really haven't. The worst thing that happened to me was I had it seems like it was the same type of individual with your horror story, where they seemed like they were much more lively than a lot of my guests. I focus a lot of what I do in that couples, if I do have an apartment to me, a flat to you, on the smaller side, I always get them on the smaller side, so that way it's just a couple who are just passing through, and it's just somewhere for them to sleep. Normally they're running around New York City or Atlanta or wherever, and they want to be in the city. But for some reason, they even took all the furniture was moved, the trash was overflowing, and they smoked cigarettes inside of the apartment, which is a big no. And lastly, for some reason, there was a brick, like a building brick that I guess they found outside that was just inside of the apartment, which was just so odd.
Weird.
Yeah, I was just like, what were they even doing in here?
No.
So I don't want to keep you too long, but what I did want to say is, really thanks for jumping on with me and chatting with me. It really does mean a lot, and keep up with what you guys are doing, just because it is very helpful, and just building up this whole thing that we all have going on. So, thanks for jumping on and chatting with me.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's been lovely. And and I'm more than happy for anybody to message us and ask us questions. Like, I'm more than happy to help if I can do, because, as I say, we've been through it, and we just want to help people not make mistakes, really. And, if you can save money, then do it.
Absolutely.